What if I told you the smartest person you ever met was probably the quietest one in the room? What if silence is not a sign of weakness? What if silence is actually the most powerful weapon a person can carry? Today, I want to tell you a story about two men, one who talked too much and one who knew when to stop. By the end of this story, I promise you, you will never look at silence the same way again. Let's begin. In a small but growing city, there was a company called Meridian Solutions. It was not a huge company, maybe 80 people, but it was ambitious. The kind of place where young, hungry people came to prove themselves. Two men joined the company the same year. The first man was named Leo Carter. Leo was the kind of man who walked into a room and immediately filled it. Loud laugh, strong handshake, always had a story. In meetings, Leo always had his hand up first. At lunch, Leo was always the one talking. At company events, Leo was the center of every circle. People liked Leo, at least at first. He seemed confident. He seemed sharp. He had an answer for everything. And that was exactly his problem. The second man was named Daniel Mercer. Daniel was different. He came in quietly every morning, said good morning with a small nod, made his coffee, sat down, and worked. In meetings, Daniel rarely spoke. He sat in the back, took notes, watched people. Sometimes, people forgot he was in the room. New employees thought Daniel was shy. Some thought he was unfriendly. A few people even whispered that maybe Daniel wasn't that smart, because smart people speak up, right? Wrong. They were watching the wrong man. Let me pause the story for a moment, because I want you to understand something important. We live in a world that rewards noise. Think about it. In school, the student who raises their hand the most gets noticed. In meetings, the person who speaks the most seems like the leader. On social media, the person who posts every day gets the followers. We have been trained, since we were children, to believe that visibility equals value. That if you are quiet, you are weak. That if you don't speak, you have nothing to offer. That silence is the same as surrender. But here is what nobody tells you. Noise is easy. Anyone can make noise. What is hard, truly hard, is knowing when to speak, what to say, and how to say it in a way that actually changes something. Leo had learned the first lesson, be loud. Daniel had learned the second, be right. And in the world of business, in the world of relationships, in the world of life, being right at the right moment always beats being loud all the time. Now, back to our story. One Monday morning, the CEO of Meridian Solutions, a sharp woman named Sandra Voss, called an emergency meeting. The company was in trouble. For 3 quarters in a row, they had been losing clients. Revenue was dropping. Two of their biggest partners had quietly walked away. Nobody fully understood why. Sandra stood at the front of the room. She looked tired. She looked serious. She looked at 40 employees and said, "Something is broken. I don't know exactly what, but I need answers. And I need them now." The room was quiet for about 4 seconds. Then Leo stood up. Of course he did. Leo always stood up. Leo spoke for nearly 12 minutes. He talked about marketing strategies. He talked about social media presence. He talked about hiring younger talent. He used big words. He drew on the whiteboard. He quoted a business book he had read 6 months ago. People nodded. Some took notes. Sandra listened carefully, her face unreadable. When Leo finished, he sat down with the confidence of a man who had just solved world hunger. Sandra said, "Thank you, Leo." Anyone else? A few other people offered small ideas. Safe ideas. Nothing groundbreaking. Daniel said nothing. He sat in the third row, pen in hand, legal pad in front of him, covered in notes. He watched Leo. He watched Sandra. He watched the other employees. And he stayed silent. After the meeting, Leo walked up to a colleague named Marcus and said, "Good meeting. I think Sandra really liked my ideas." Marcus smiled politely. But later, Marcus walked past the small glass office where Daniel was sitting alone, still writing in his notepad. Marcus knocked on the door. "You didn't say anything today," Marcus said. "You okay?" Daniel looked up. "I'm fine," he said. "Did you have any ideas?" Daniel paused, then said, "Yes." "Why didn't you share them?" Daniel looked at Marcus for a long moment and said something Marcus would never forget. Because the room wasn't ready to receive them. Marcus didn't fully understand what that meant. But he would. In about 3 weeks, Sandra and the leadership team reviewed Leo's suggestions along with a few others. They liked Leo's energy. His confidence was contagious. They approved a new marketing plan based mostly on his ideas. More social media, younger voice, flashy new website, new tagline. The budget was approved. The team was assembled. Leo was put in charge of executing the plan. He was proud. He walked taller that week. He told people at lunch, "This is going to turn everything around. Watch." And they watched. For weeks later, nothing had improved. In fact, it got slightly worse. Another client quietly left. Website traffic went up, but conversions went down. The social media posts got likes, but zero new business. Sandra called another meeting. This time, the energy in the room was different. Heavier, quieter, uncomfortable. Sandra stood at the front again. But this time, she didn't ask for ideas. She asked a different question. "Before we go further, did anyone see this coming? Did anyone know this plan had a weakness?" The room was silent. Then, slowly, a hand went up. It was Daniel. Sandra looked at him. "Daniel." He stood up. Calm. No drama. No performance. He opened his notepad and spoke in a clear, steady voice. "Yes, I saw it coming. And I want to explain why, and also explain why I didn't speak sooner. Because both things matter." The room shifted. People sat up straighter. Daniel began. "Our problem is not marketing. Our problem is trust. 3 of our last 5 clients left because of poor communication during the service delivery phase. Not because they didn't know about us. They already knew us. They left because once they became clients, we stopped treating them well." He paused. "A new website doesn't fix a broken relationship. More social media posts don't fix slow response times and missed deadlines. We were trying to get new clients, while quietly losing the ones we already had." The room was completely still. Sandra's eyes narrowed, not with anger, but with focus. "How long have you known this?" she asked. "I started noticing the pattern about 6 weeks ago," Daniel said. "I have the data here." He held up his notepad, 3 pages of carefully written observations. Client names, exit dates, common complaints, patterns. Sandra stared at it. "Why?" she said slowly. "Did you not say this in the last meeting?" And here, Daniel said the thing that changed everything. Because in that meeting, Daniel said, the energy in the room was panic. And when people are panicking, they don't want the truth. They want a plan. They want action. They want someone to stand up and sound confident, even if the confidence is empty. Leo gave the room what it wanted in that moment, and the room accepted it. If I had stood up and said slow down, the real problem is different. I would have been seen as negative, as someone blocking progress. The idea would have been rejected, not because it was wrong, but because the timing was wrong. So I waited. I let the first plan run. And now that the room has seen it didn't work, now you are ready to hear something different. Now the truth has space to land. Silence. Long, heavy silence. Sandra looked at Daniel for what felt like a full minute. Then she said, "You let us waste 4 weeks and significant budget to make a point about timing." Daniel didn't flinch. "No," he said. "I let the situation teach the room what I couldn't teach it with words. There's a difference." That was the moment the company changed. Not because of a brilliant marketing campaign, not because of a flashy new website, but because one quiet man understood something that most people never learn. The right idea at the wrong time is still the wrong idea. Sandra restructured the team that week. She put Daniel in charge of client relationships. She asked him to build a new internal communication system. Within 2 quarters, client retention improved by 34%. 3 of the lost clients came back. The company stabilized. And Leo? Leo was still at the company. But he was quieter now. He had learned something too. That speaking first doesn't mean speaking best. The lesson, what this story is really about, I want to talk to you directly now. Because this story is not just about Daniel and Leo. This story is about you, and me, and everyone we know. We have all been Leo at some point. Talking to fill silence. Sharing opinions before we fully understand the situation. Mistaking loudness for leadership. Mistaking speed for intelligence. And we have all, maybe, been Daniel too. Sitting in a room with the answer, but feeling the room wasn't ready. Staying quiet not from fear, but from wisdom. Here is what smart people understand that most people don't. Number 1, silence is not emptiness. Silence is observation. While others are talking, silent people are learning. They are reading the room. They are understanding what is really happening, not just what is being said. Number 2, timing is everything. The same idea can succeed or fail based purely on when it is delivered. A seed planted in winter dies. The same seed planted in spring grows. Smart people wait for spring. Number 3, words are expensive. Every time you speak, you spend something. Your credibility, your energy, other people's time. Smart people spend carefully. They save their words for moments that matter. Number 4, silence makes your words more powerful. When a quiet person finally speaks, people listen. Really listen. Because they know that person doesn't waste words. But when someone talks constantly, their words become background noise. People stop truly hearing them. Number 5, not every room deserves your truth. This is hard to hear. But some rooms are not ready. Some people are not ready. And forcing your wisdom on an unready audience doesn't help anyone. It just creates conflict. Real wisdom knows when to speak and when to protect the idea by keeping it safe. Until the right moment comes, smart people stay silent because they understand something deep, that the world is full of noise. And in a world full of noise, silence is rare. Silence is noticed. Silence is powerful. The next time you are in a room and you feel the urge to speak just to be heard, pause. Ask yourself, am I speaking to help or to be noticed? Is this the right moment or just a moment? Will my words add light or just more noise? And if the answer tells you to wait, wait. Because the most powerful voice in any room is the one that speaks only when it truly matters. The wisest words are not the ones spoken first. They are the ones that are still remembered long after the room goes quiet.